What you're about to listen to is a Bry-Fy production.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bry-Fy podcast. I'm your host, Bry-Fy, your comics guy, and this is another live episode of the Bry-Fy podcast, or a live recording. So most people listening to the actual recording of the podcast, you weren't here live, or maybe you were, you just wanted to listen to it again because you're cool and you like what I do. Other than that, got a live internet audience of one right now. Hopefully that increases as we talk. It's just something I wanted to do, just to get more people involved, maybe have some fun with it. And it causes a little bit of different reactions or interactions with me and the audience when I got people to play off of, and maybe people who want to share ideas while the show's going on. So hopefully you guys enjoy that, have a lot of fun with it. Like I said, we're doing it with Facebook Live for my friends and family who want to watch, and then Twitter, our Periscope, their live function, so that, you know, other fans and other podcasts and just pretty much anyone in the world who gets really bored and wants to see what I'm up to can chime in on the things that we are doing this week. If you guys have never listened to my show before or never really cared to, maybe this will change your mind. But we talk about comic book reviews, we talk about pop culture, like movies, TV, a bunch of different things, basically anything that I find interesting, and also just nifty or nerdy news throughout, just anything else, stuff that I think deserves being shared that I don't think a lot of people are sharing. And you can also guarantee that it's not fake news because it's from me and I vet all my... No, some of it, I mean, is funny and I enjoy. Whether I go too deep into, like, if it's really, really like deep dive, deep faked or something like that, look, man, if I look at the article and it looks true enough, I'm going to share it with you. But we know that's a problem with Facebook and other places, and we don't want that to be a problem because problems are bad, okay? Anyway, after all that, if you guys still like the show, you want to follow more, interact more, you can always find me on all my social media like Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook. I'm on Xbox Live. I even got Switch playing Animal Crossing. Woot woot! And everything is at Bry-Fy Podcast. That's Bryfy Podcast. And you can even email me, bryfypodcast at hotmail.com. Yes, I still have Hotmail, not Gmail, because I'm not a G. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the nifty nerd news. All right, guys, up first with the nifty nerd news. Also, side note, last week we had a guest on, and so that guest took up my whole episode, which I loved. We talked about his podcast, which was about a mystical bartender, and just kind of like the fun exploits of what she does and the Kickstarter that he's going to be starting up. So that was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it, but that took up most of my episode. So this week, some of the nifty nerd news I had to bump off because I'm carrying it over from 2 weeks ago, and some of it's still very relevant that I wanted to share with you guys. So buckle up, Buttercup. So big news, though, is there ain't comics, guys. Not that you can't find comics out there, but a lot of printers, distributors, publishers are halting their comic books. They're not putting them out. They're not sharing them. They're even limiting like the digital stuff. And a lot of that first came out when Diamond Distributors, for the comic industry, or people not too familiar, Diamond actually is what distributes a lot of the major publishers' books like Marvel, DC, Image. They use pretty much just one company to distribute all their books, which is kind of insane and crazy, especially for moments like this. Diamond has decided a week or two to stop all of its issues, like just stop shipping shit out. They don't want to do it anymore. They think it's a risk, health risk to not only their employees, but local comic book shops. So they're not shipping out anything, which means local shops, like in Houston or other areas, smaller areas, they're not getting books. And if you guys have ever listened to my podcast or anyone talk about the comic book industry, shops are suffering. Shops are not like huge moneymakers to begin with. So this puts another damper on them and makes it even harder. You have companies like Boom who see that struggle, realize, hey, we can't put out our single issues like normal, but we're still going to print out our graphic novels. We're still going to print out our collected volumes, but you guys are going to have to get them through different means. Like they have different distributors when they do volumes and graphic novels, or at least now they are. So it's a way to still help shops get some type of merchandise to sell to people, but it's not as good as, say, like Diamond was, mass sending out a bunch of single issues. I mean, like I said, it's kind of what happens with almost monopoly on the market, and then you fail or you decide to stop. Everyone feels a strain on that, and that's probably a big bad thing, and maybe we should pull away from that. Who knows? I'm not like a shop owner or anything. I'm just a guy who likes to read comic books. So that's kind of my sense on it. Of course, we've had news of Marvel and DC and Image and all them halting a majority of their single print issues. You know, their floppies. They're like these, you know, just the little single books, which sucks, guys. Like, not only does it hurt the comic book shops, it hurts the readers, you know, because, you know, we go to the stores to buy the comics, but now if the stores don't have the new comics, what's the point of buying the comics? Well, enter in Comic Hub. Now, this was 2 weeks ago, or a week ago. Comic Hub was this service that, in theory, was going to save the comic book industry. It was going to be the thing that was the Superman, the All Might, you know, the symbol of truth and justice that we all wanted and needed in this COVID nightmare of a life that we've been going through right now. And to say that it wasn't... It's a great idea. In theory, everything was freaking awesome about it. So you would go to their online app, which was Comic Hub, and you would order a book that you wanted. Or, well, first you would select a comic book shop. So basically you select your home shop to be like, this is my store. This is where my comic books will be coming from, basically. Then you order the book online, kind of like a pre-order. And so when you order that book online, it says, hey, whenever it's safe again, we're going to send that comic book out to the shop that you want so you can go pick it up. So that way you can have a physical copy. However, as a bonus, they give you the digital issue right then and there. So you actually get to read the book that you just bought, and then you get to later pick up the physical copy so you can add it to your collection and you can hoard that shit, and then it takes up shelf space and you have to choose what's more important, your family or your comic books. And of course you're going to be choosing your comic books because you spent so much money, you had to go through this crazy time just to get them. So yeah, in theory, I think it's a great idea. It's a way to get money to the shops and also help people get their comics, you know. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what consumers want. That's what customers want. They want their comic books. And if this is a way where they're still paying the same price and get a physical issue along with a digital issue, and the shop gets something in return, it sounds like a win-win. However, a lot of comic book shops and a lot of other people have pushed against this idea, have really not been all aboard on this. And mainly, a lot of their concerns is the logistics of it, getting all these comics coming in at one time and trying to, you know, sort them and organize them, making sure everyone gets their books. But I would think the website that they're using would track all that information. So if you get a shit ton of books, then, you know, you have the website to say, okay, this is who gets whose books. And then at that point, I'd feel like it's just like having a regular subscription service. You know, you have your subscribers box that you put all the comics that they want in, and then they come pick it up. And they're already paid for. They're prepaid. So you don't even have to worry about that, and you've already received money for that. So I feel like logistically, maybe, and I don't work for a comic book shop, I don't know 100%, but it almost sounds a little lazy. Like, I just don't want to deal with it. It's just a lot of work to put on me all at one time when things get better. So I'm going to have all my other stuff on top of this stuff. And so I can get how that's kind of a strain, but also not. I don't know. Like, to me, maybe it's because I'm not an owner. It doesn't make sense to me. But the other reason is the fear that a lot of customers are going to go digital because of this. And that I can actually see. That's a major concern. That, I think, is the big fear of what could close these comic book shops for good, is when you're buying these stuff and you're getting the digital copy and you have to wait for the physical copy anyway. Be like, why am I getting physical anymore? Like, what's the point? They're taking up space. My wife and child have left me because I have more love for comics than I have them. No. But so, I mean, digital is way more convenient. And in fact, me, myself, I have switched to a few digital things now. I do Marvel Unlimited to read all my Marvel books. I actually just started with Comixology Unlimited to try that out, see how I like it, and get to read more than just Marvel. You get to read like Image, Dark Horse, all the other stuff. So that's been a lot of fun and really cool. And I've actually kind of liked it, although it cuts you off sometimes, or not cuts you off, but you can only read so far. You can't read like full complete series, which sucks, especially I was really into this one called Rat Queens, which is really awesome and a lot of fun, but you only get the first volume for free on Comixology, and I hate it. I hate it a lot. But it's a really good story, and I really enjoyed it. So Comixology is really good for that. DC Universe has their own. I still haven't done that, but I've been told the television or the series that they have on there are really good and worth purchasing just for those alone. Plus, you get to read comic books as well. So, I don't know. So, I can see comic book shops and their concern with making everyone go digital, because you might actually lose people altogether. Just say, well, why fuck with physical copies? Let's just go straight digital. And so that's another big fear of it. So ultimately, at the end of the day, and the latest news source on this is Shayna, we are not recording podcasts anymore. Is this the new No, this is the podcast. I'm just doing it live for you guys. See, this is why I don't do it live, because then you interrupt me like that, and I lose focus, Shayna. Focus. My hair. I'm a professional. Sorry. Anyway, as of recent news, Comics Hub has not folded, but decided not to go forward. Just too much pushback from the industry. However, they did mention they've had tons of support with customers, us, the comic book readers, and creators, people who are making these comics, trying to make a living, trying to push their stuff out there. Like, this all makes sense, and this is all a good thing, but shops are pushing back on it. And so they've decided, if we don't have the support of the shops, which this is supposed to be like the big help to shops, then why do it if shops don't want it? So that's the huge pushback they've been having. So ultimately, the savior is just not the one that the comic books industry wants right now, although it might be the one that they need. So that's been what's kind of like going on with comic books here recently. Like, this whole COVID-19 thing has been insane. It's been crazy. It sucked. Okay. Like, I mean, look, we're doing our part to social distance and, not help stop the spread. So that way we can keep our grandparents safe, our friends and family with compromised immune systems safe. And, that's what we're doing. And it sucks, though. Don't get me wrong. Especially like in the entertainment industry, we've seen movies, TV shows, late night television, like everything that's pretty much online, or like anything that's on TV or in movies, get postponed and delayed indefinitely until everything blows over. The Batman with what's his name, Christopher Reeves, with Robert Pattinson, that's been delayed indefinitely. Movies have been pushed back. Some have gone straight to digital, like Onward, which was supposed to be coming out in theaters or just came out. I can't remember what. Well, it's on Disney Plus, and me and my wife watched it, by the way, and it is hands down my favorite movie of the year. It's so emotional. Like, I didn't expect to cry that much, guys. Like, I was not ready. My feels were not ready for that just emotional roller coaster that movie gives you. And no, Shayna, I will not clean my son's closet. He is a grown man. He's 5 now. Penguins, when they are 5 years old, are now grown adults. So now is my son. We just watched a penguin documentary on Disney Plus. Which, I mean, that's really what we've been doing. This COVID-19 is Disney Plusing out the ass right now. That and Animal Crossing. Like, oh my God. So everyone has been playing Animal Crossing. Just anytime I get on my Switch, all I see is like 8 people. Like the most people I've ever seen online at one time is like 8 people. And they're all playing Animal Crossing, Animal Crossing, Animal Crossing, Animal Crossing. And it's insane, guys. And finally I broke down, got the game, and I'm addicted. It's so much fun. It's just a relaxing game. It's not competitive. It's not crazy. It's just relaxing. And then it has the added benefit that you can go visit your friends' islands, or they can come to your island. And last night I had the chance to have one of my friends, he and his wife, they share a character, or for this instance, they shared a character, come over, visit my island. And then he commenced to just run around and dig holes all over my island, because he's a dick, and I had to run around chasing after him, trying to get him to stop digging holes somehow. And there's no way, you can't just kick him and make him leave. Like, he pretty much gets. And then I had someone else stealing all my apples at the same time I'm dealing with Hole Digger over here, and it was insane. My life was a mess, and then I was just like, "Yep, this is COVID-19." Nope. But so I've been having a lot of fun with that. Other gaming news, since we just kind of talked a little bit about video games, GameStop. Yeah, that essential retail store that sells essential items for this COVID crisis that we're dealing with. Yeah, me neither. So GameStop, like I said, has told their employees, we're essential. They have gone out to be like, don't you dare close your freaking shop. You're an essential employee. Don't you freaking stop, because we got to make money. In reality, I'm pretty sure GameStop is probably about to just go away. And this was the final straw that just crumbled the empire of GameStop. And this is their just last hurrah of trying to get whatever money they can, because the same problem with comic book shops, they're fearing everyone's going to go digital now, and no one's ever going to go to a store again to buy a video game. And to be fair, I'm that guy. I've kind of just stopped buying physical copies of games now. I go into my store on my Xbox or my Switch. I bought Animal Crossing through the eNintendo shop, and I have a memory card that can hold all of that. I got a huge memory card for my Switch. It's not too much memory, so I have no reason to go buy physical copies of games. Now they're always with me. I don't have to switch in and out cartridges. It's convenient, Same with my Xbox. I think just 2 of my games are on a disc, and they're actually the same game, The Division and The Division 2, just because they were super cheap when I bought them on a disc versus trying to download them online. But now they're I think The Division at one point was $5 or something, or The Division 2, the newest game, $5. So, and that's the other cool thing. When you do digital, you get some pretty damn good deals, Now you can't sell back. That's the only downfall, but you always have that game. It's not going to take up space other than memory on your device, but you just get more memory, and there you go, And so, I mean, I get it. GameStop is pushing back, They're trying to stay alive. They think they're too legit to quit or to be quitted, and unfortunately, they're not. They're definitely not too legit whenever the Pennsylvania governor takes away your license to do business in the state. You ain't too legit for that, are you, GameStop? You're definitely not too legit when Boston PD comes knocking on your door and tells you got to shut down, and then issues you a nuisance citation. You ain't too legit for that, are you, GameStop? And so GameStop's finally been like, okay, we'll stop. Sorry. And so now they're realizing why they might think they're essential and a service that needs to be sold, or that a service that needs to get out to the public. I think they're finally realizing no one else thinks that. No one else is sitting there oh my God, I'm not I don't have anything to eat today. I better go to GameStop and get some gummy worm. Or do they even sell snacks again? No, I don't even think they sell chips. Which you would think that would be the best thing to sell at a game store, because what do gamers love? They love Doritos, Mountain Dew, and just Hot Pockets. Why isn't there a freezer just full of Hot Pockets and a fridge just stacked with Bang or Mountain Dew or just whatever energy drink the kids are drinking these days, like that's your model to success, people. Food. Comic book shops need to just be cafes that sell comic books in them. No, I mean, I'm not going to save the industry with these ideas, guys, but I mean, it can't hurt, right? If you have something else that people are really coming for and the comics are just an added bonus. I mean, shit, from everything that I've heard, comic books aren't even really that profitable. It's really everything else you sell in store that you make your money from, or at least that's what I've heard. I don't know how true that is. So why not make a cafe? Why not make a restaurant and then just sell comic books in it, I mean, well, shit, what was it? Hastings, they kind of did that and that fell through. Then again, their coffee wasn't that great, but so maybe there's just no saving it, man. There's just no market for it because the online and digital market's just so much more convenient and so much better. I mean, look, GameStop is feeling that hurt, same as comic book shops. And they're kind of the same thing, they're a location, a brick and mortar store that really thrives and focuses on physical sales. But when everyone is going digitally, they're suffering. And you can see that happening between the two. And it kind of sucks in a way because I like comic book shops way more than I like GameStop. So it's like, if you fix one, I guess you fix them both. And I kind of don't care if GameStop goes away. But that's just me. I don't know. Strange things. The last bit of nifty nerd news we'll talk about before we get into the comic book review is I want to give a shout out to Comic Palooza. They've always been a huge supporter of my podcast, allowing me to cover their convention every year since I've been doing this. So, 5 or 6 years now. They've allowed me to host panels of my own. They've allowed me to moderate panels with awesome comic book creators, guests, and the like. And this year we were supposed to have Comic Palooza. Unfortunately, they made the decision to postpone it for this year, or cancel it for this year is the correct term, which I hate saying that word because it just makes it so true. So Comic Palooza is not happening in 2020. They're just going to reevaluate and do it again for 2021. They just, couldn't guarantee the same great show at a different date. Trying to get people to, I'm guessing they couldn't really get guests to confirm because with everything that's going on with COVID-19, it's hard to be like, well, when's it safe to come out again? Or like, when's a great time to just get in a mass group of thousands or so people and get close enough to each other where everyone's just going to catch COVID-19 anyway, but in COVID-20. So I don't know. So I get why they're doing it. It sucks, but it's smart and it's the right thing to do. But it's not done. Like, it's not over. It's like, you can't get Comic Palooza this year. It's not like that. Actually, you can go to Comic Palooza's website and they have a shopping tab now where you can actually see all of the exhibitors that were going to be at Comic Palooza this year. And you can, touch my face, got COVID. And you can visit all their Etsy stores, just their creator shops. So you can buy and browse and buy stuff that they were going to sell at Comic Palooza anyway. Let's face it. I mean, what are you going to spend your money on? You can't go out. Why not buy badass artwork? And now you don't have to pay for a ticket to go to Comic Palooza to get the artwork. So now you save the money because tickets were like 60 something bucks. So now you're not spending that on a ticket. So that 60 something bucks can go to art, which is great. And it's awesome. And it supports these creators who are also going through a hard time, just like a lot of us are going through a hard time, so maybe you can't go shop, but they're offering discounts. They're offering stuff at a cheaper price, which is great, which is awesome, and which is fantastic, and I love that. I've already been looking at a bunch of different exhibitors on there. There's some pretty cool prints from people who were going to be at Comic Palooza that I have my eye on, and I'm thinking probably my next paycheck when I have a little bit of extra cash and I can see how my money's going to be for this month, we can maybe I'll buy some stuff and then I can share it with you guys. I can show you, hey, look at my online haul that I got from Comic Palooza shopping. Hashtag shop Comic Palooza first. I don't know. That's crazy stuff. But I just wanted to share that information with you guys. Comic Palooza, although not happening this year, there's still a great way to experience it through the Comic Palooza shopping app, or not app, but tab. And you can just buy a bunch of cool prints and a lot of cool other stuff that you could have bought at the convention, But since now there is no convention, now you can just buy it online. So a lot of cool stuff. I'm really, really proud of them for doing that. Really excited to check out more stuff on their website, and you guys do too. Another thing that's been talked about, excuse me, I don't know if it's going to go through yet or what the actual in-stone plan is, but there has been talk and mention of some of the panels that were going to be at Comicpalooza. We'll find a different way to do it, maybe stream them on Facebook or Twitter. Or some people have talked about the Zoom app, but I know there's a lot of bad feelings about Zoom currently. A lot of this is just in the air. I've been talking with some of my own podcast friends for panels that we were planning to do together, and so we might be able to bring that to y'all as well through ourselves. I think Comicpalooza kind of wants to toy with that idea to do stuff hosted by Comicpalooza. So we'll see how that works, and maybe we'll have some cool new type of entertainment for you guys who either wanted to go to the convention but couldn't, or just kind of curious how panels look and work. So maybe that would be cool. But that's it for the comic book or the comic book review. No, that is it for the Nifty Nerd News, guys. I want to thank you for sticking around this long and listening to everything. We've been doing this for about 26 minutes, so you got to get a life, or I need to get a life, or something like that. But we're going to take a quick pause right here so I can take a drink of water, which I've done a few times, but a long drink of water, and play some like transition music, and then we'll get into the review of the reboot of Archie, which actually happened back in 2015, but I finally got a chance to finish the series, and I want to share my thoughts with it. So let's take a break.
What's up, nerds? This is Rich, the host of the Three Fat Nerds podcast. I would like to invite you to check out our podcast, available anywhere you get podcasts, just by searching Three Fat Nerds. We are 2 shows on one channel. Late every Monday night, we release the flagship Three Fat Nerds podcast, where we discuss all things pop culture and nerdom. We talk about movies, shows, games, comics, and more. Then late every Thursday night, we release 3FNW, our pro wrestling podcast, where we give our thoughts and takes on the wrestling business. So listen to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts, like us on Facebook, Three Fat Nerds Podcast, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, at Three Fat Nerds Pod, and most importantly, enjoy our musings. With that being said, there's only one thing left to say. Later, nerds!
All right, guys, welcome back to the Bry-Fy podcast. Thanks for sticking around for the comic book review portion of the podcast. This week, like I mentioned before the break, we're looking at 2015's Archie Reboot from Archie Comics. Who would have thought? Of course, everyone's probably like, Archie, why are you talking about Archie? That little thing that you buy at like H-E-B or the grocery store, like that? No, so back in 2015, they decided to end the first series of Archie and then pick up with a whole new series where they've revamped the characters, redesigned everything for a new contemporary audience, which is kind of cool, man. They started things off, this run, the second series, is 1 through 32 issues. So, 33 issues? I guess that means total? I don't remember. No, 32, because 32 issues. It was written by Mark Waid. We've had tons of different artists on this series throughout the time, including Fiona Staples, who I love, and we'll get more about her in a little bit. Annie Wu, Veronica Fish, Thomas Patilli, and Ryan Jampoli, I think I'm saying that right. Joe Isma, who's been on the podcast before, which is pretty awesome. Pete Woods, Audrey Mock, and Kelly Fitzpatrick. A lot of people that have worked on this book and been a part of it, and it's been a lot of fun. Just a little history, though, on Archie Comics. In case you were wondering, I was actually wondering. I thought this was pretty interesting stuff. So the first appearance of Archie actually happened in Pep Comics way back in 1941. It was issue number 22 from MLJ Comics. The first writer of these stories was Vic Bloom, and the artist was Bob Montana, I think is the name. The first Archie comics actually didn't come until the winter of 1942. Archie was so popular, showing up in Pep Comics in issue 22, that they finally made their own Archie comics like the following year. And it started out in issues 114. It went from issue 1 to issue 114. Then they shorted Archie Comics to just Archie, the story of Archie. As the series eventually ends in 2015, the first series ends in 2015 with issue number 666, the Satan's number. And then, of course, the second series kicked off in 2015, the following month. And that's kind of what led me into Archie Comics at that point. I had seen it. There were a big talk about it. But the huge thing that really got me into Archie Comics and got me interested, even though I've never really been interested in Archie Comics before, was Fiona Staples. She is probably my favorite artist ever. And that's my son screaming behind the door. Fiona Staples is such a fantastic artist. She does fantastic work. She is the artist for Saga, which is a series I've talked about multiple times on the podcast. It's a series that I just gush over all the time, and she's the artist behind it. Actually, I have some issues right in here. See if you guys can see that over on the cameras. There's a glare, so sorry about that. But she's done amazing work. She's done just fantastic stuff. I've just loved her artwork. I've loved her style and how she does things. And so that alone is what got me like, well, hey, maybe checking out this Archie won't be so bad. And I'm so glad I did, man. From issue 1, I fell in love with the series. Issue 1 was at the time, like, I was reading like Spider-Man, I was reading Deadpool. So, I'm reading a lot of like superhero books. I'm reading the Mighty Avengers with Luke Cage leading them. And so I'm reading a lot of hero books, a lot of just, punchy books. And then comes this breath of fresh air. Well, I was reading Saga, but that gets, like, while it's fun, it's also very dramatic too. So here comes this breath of fresh air of Archie, where it's cool, it's hip, it's fun, it's happy-go-lucky. The situations Archie finds himself in are silly and sometimes a little serious, but never going too dark, it's a good mix between old Archie and Riverdale. Like, old Archie's super fun and silly, and Riverdale is super dramatic teenage bullshit. And the new Archie Reboot finds itself in like a happy medium between the two. See you, Zach. # bring back Jeffy. We just watched a penguin thing, so that's pretty funny to me. Anyway, so I've loved this series right from the get-go, guys. The artwork was fantastic by Fiona Staples. Then they picked it up with Annie Wu and Veronica Fish after that, which kept the awesome style. And while the art has changed throughout the series, it's always felt great. Like, they've always told a good story and a fun story that works well visually along with the narrative that they're putting throughout the whole series, which I've really enjoyed and really loved. And like I said, things do get a little bit serious with it. Have # the lipstick incident, which happens at first, and you're wondering, what the hell does that mean? What did Archie do? Because that's what broke him and Betty up. Like, right from the get-go, they're broken up. Veronica comes into town. Archie starts talking to Veronica, falls in love with her and all that stuff. And you deal with the lipstick incident. What does that mean? What happens? And when you finally figure out like what the lipstick incident is, it's serious, because it has serious implications. It was enough for Betty to break up with Archie, but it's not as serious as you would think it would. Like in Riverdale, it would probably be like, oh, Archie was sleeping with a teacher, which happens in Riverdale. But then there's a moment where, or there's a storyline where Veronica's dealing with, trying to fit in with the people of Riverdale, because she's not from there. She's a rich, uppity girl trying to fit in with the common folk. You have the Blossom twins and their real father, who comes to light, and he's not that great of a person. There's a car accident where people get involved and their lives change because of it. And so there's a lot of like serious stuff that happens in here, but it doesn't get too dark. It doesn't get too bad. It's a great read for kids. It's a great read for me and people who are like me. It was just a lot of fun, guys. They introduce a lot of the characters that you guys know and love. You get to see them rebooted, revitalized in a way. So you got like Moose, the football meathead, Marge, like the cool chick that loves Moose. You have the nerd guy, I forget his name. Betty and Veronica look awesome. I'm so team Betty because of all this, though. So don't at me for that. But it's been a lot of fun, guys. I can't stress enough how much fun reading Archie has been. These first 32 issues, and actually it wraps up at 32 this series before they go on to the next series. But it was just fun. It was a great introduction into the world of Archie, especially for me who's never read Archie comics before. But I knew these characters. I knew Jughead. I knew Veronica. I knew Betty. I knew Moose. Like, I knew who these people were. I knew the Blossom twins. And it was just so much fun, you know. It gives you a great introduction to all of them without overloading you, and the stories are fun. And Milton, that's the nerd, isn't it? Or no, wait, that's the nerd from The Simpsons, right? I don't remember. I'm bad at this. But it's just been a lot of fun. Mark Waid writes pretty damn well, guys. He really writes a teenage white kid who just has really bad luck really well. He does write other things really well too, but he writes Archie really, really fantastic. It was great to see the introduction of the Pussycats, like Josie and the Pussycats. Sabrina shows up, I think, at one point, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe that was a spinoff. I can't remember. But man, out of all this, like the Archie reboot, not just the comic, but like the Archie comics as a whole, the reboots that came out of this were just fantastic, man. You had like the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which then moved on to Netflix, and we all, I'm pretty sure most of us have watched it and really enjoyed it. Then you have like Jughead Hunger, where I guess he's like a zombie or like an undead Jughead who runs around eating people. There's been tons of just other cool stories that have come out of Archie Comics because of this Archie reboot, and I've really enjoyed it, and it's been a lot of fun. I will say, though, I haven't continued reading Archie. They've gone on to do like Archie, like World War II stuff, I think, bring it back to that, or was it World War I? I can't remember. They take Archie back in the past, like if Archie was during this timeline, which, I mean, technically he was. When Archie first came into the comic scene, it was back in the 40s. So, I mean, he would have been around for all that stuff, you know, as a teenager and as someone who might be sent off to war. So they do a story about all that. They do a story, I think it was called like Varsity, or no, maybe that was, I don't remember what the other story was, but they did another kind of like Archie series before they got into main Archie series stuff. And I just haven't followed up on it. I've been meaning to, but I just haven't. Maybe it's on Comixology. I can go check that out, but my phone is currently in use, so I can't check it out right now. But for the second series, issues 1 through 32, I love them. I can't get enough of them. I finally was able to complete the series, so I was really stoked on that. Just waiting patiently until the shop that I used to order my stuff had the books that I've been looking for, and I ordered them. And now I got the whole series, and now they sit proudly in my filing cabinet on display in a drawer behind other books, because I love Archie. I do. Trust me. But it's a good story, man. If I had to give it a review or a rating, because I just gave it a review, but if I had to give it a rating, we do a basically 3-point rating system. We do it by charges. You know, my logo is like an atom, you know, and it's got like electrons and stuff. But like you got a positive charge because, you know, I think positively of it. A negative charge means I think negatively of it, or a neutral charge, which means I really don't give a crap, you know, like, not that I don't like it, you can read it if you want to, or you don't. Like, basically, negative charge means don't read it, and neutral charge means proceed at your own discretion, and positive charge means if you don't read this, I will find you, and I will hunt you down, because I'm a man with a special set of skills, some that you may find terrifying, but, and nerdy. Archie is definitely, though, a positive charge of a comic book. It's a lot of fun. Artwork is fantastic on it throughout the entire series, although it changes. And it's just a fun story, man. It really gives you a chance to visit Riverdale the way it was meant to be and not in this crazy teen drama of Riverdale on TV. This CW and doing whatever the hell they do to just fuck shit up. No. But it's great. I love it. I think you guys should check it out. You can read it online, or you can come over to my... Well, you can't come over to my house right now, COVID-19. But I would say you could come over and read it with me. And we do like a book club together and just open and read together. That'd be a lot of fun. But that's going to be it for the podcast this week, guys. I want to thank you all for tuning in on Facebook Live or over on Twitter, Periscope, whatever it is. And just sitting around chatting with me. Thank you guys for listening to the show proper through the recording. That's going to be it for the podcast. So let's wrap up the recording by saying Bry-Fy out. I think I'm going to go play Animal Crossing.